In this video, we are going to take a look at the stock that Ark Invest has been heavily buying into over the past week. Cathie Wood and her team have purchased hundreds of millions of dollars of this company, taking advantage of the massive dip that they are currently in. And that stock is Palantir, the young big data company that has absolutely exploded since the shares hit the public market. But recently, the drop in the overall stock market plus some massive insider selling has sent the share price crashing down more than 30% from the company's all-time high. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look into Palantir, discuss the massive position that Ark has created, and go over the company's financials and their future expected growth. And before we do that, I'm going to ask you to please hit that like button and subscribe. I am the Gen Z investor, and every single day we talk about the stock market, going over different stocks you can buy in any major market news. So please hit that like button and subscribe for those daily videos. And today we're going to discuss Ark Invest and one of the companies they've been heavily buying into, which of course is Palantir. The stock currently trades for around $25 per share, and over the past month, the company has seen a massive decline by 32%. And if we take a closer look at the share price history, from right when the company went public, they were trading for around $9.50. And then at their 52-week high, they grew over 310% overall, which was absolutely insane. And then from that high point, we've seen a major pullback, and the shares are now down more than 36%. And Ark Invest has absolutely capitalized on this major decline, purchasing millions of shares over the past week. And if we take a look, this chart indicates the holding of Palantir stock within all of Ark's ETFs combined. The purple line indicates the amount of shares held, and the yellow represents the share price of ticker PLTR. So we can clearly see that once the share price of Palantir started to drop at a rapid rate, that's when Ark bumped up their purchases, buying millions of shares of this company as they continued to drop in price. And before the major purchases, they held around 2.3 million shares of this overall big data company. But at this current point in time, Ark now owns more than 12.7 million, adding over 10 million shares in the past few weeks. And taking a look, the company purchased Palantir stock in two of their ETFs, and those were ARKK and ARKW. And we can see some massive positions making up more than 0.5% in each of those individual ETFs. And I broke down the numbers to show exactly how much of a position Ark has created in these companies. So right now, they have 12,719,000 shares of Palantir. And to start off the month of February 2021, their position was only slightly above 2 million shares. So that means in the past few weeks, they purchased 10.6 million shares of this young big data company that we're going to take a look at throughout this entire video. And at an average cost of $26 per share, which was a rough estimate between their different purchases, that means the company has invested over $276 million into this young tech company. And I absolutely believe they have a ton of future growth ahead of it, and Palantir is one of the most interesting names in the big data field. And this $276 million purchase is a lot of money. Even for a fund like Ark, who has billions of dollars of assets under management, this represents around 1 to 2% of their individual ETFs. So that's not a small position. And to me, that indicates that Ark is predicting a nice rally from these current lows, and over the long term, this will be a very consistent grower for many years in the future. And if we take a look, with this massive decline, the company is actually expected to be trading at an undervalued level according to Simply Wall Street. And they're predicting the current share price of around $25 is actually close to 17% undervalued at this current point in time, which is very interesting. For a young tech company, usually they trade at very high multiples and are extremely overvalued. But right now, this massive decline has brought back that share price to a more reasonable level, and currently, with their estimates, they're actually trading at a discount at this point in time. And going forward, they're predicting some massive growth of over 67% for the next 3 years in the future. And if we take a look at this current point in time, Palantir has generated just over $1 billion of total revenue with a net loss of $1.1 billion. And we can see that for the next 5 years in the future, we're predicting continuous exponential growth in their top line revenue, and by 2024 into 2025, we're expecting the company to become profitable with close to $300 million in their first full year. And by 2025, we're predicting around $5 billion of total revenue with over $750 million in net income. So definitely at an interesting price point to take a look at right now. And if you're actually unaware of what Palantir is, they are a young company that is focused on big data analytics. So what they're trying to do is create platforms that will allow different companies and governments all across the world to analyze massive amounts of data and turn that information into more usable analytics for different decision-making processes. And overall, they have 3 main products that allow their customers to do just that. And they build software platforms that are going to allow you to integrate, manage, and secure any type of data at massive scale. And that's what's really important. Right now, companies all across the world are obtaining as much information as possible surrounding their potential customers and their overall market. And what Palantir products are doing are allowing these companies to take this vast amount of data and turn it into more usable, understandable, and analytical tools to help grow their businesses. And I think this is a brand that is really in need right now. Big data is only exploding in popularity, and companies who can manage and create products around it have a ton of future growth potential. And now we're going to take a look at Palantir's latest investor presentation to learn more about their business and their company's results for the 2020 fiscal year. And if we take a look, they performed very well, growing revenue by 47% year over year, and they had an adjusted margin of 17%. And the company has also announced a major partnership with a leading tech giant in IBM. And Palantir software will now be integrated with more than 2,500 of IBM's personal sales force. And I think this is a great new partnership for the company. IBM has been around for decades. They've proven to succeed in the tech space, and this partnership with a company that manages unreal amounts of data is a great sign to enter into some of the largest tech names on the market right now. And if we take a look, this company operates in 2 main business segments. And the first is their commercial business, which generated $482 million in 2020 and represented around 44% of their total top line. And over the past year, this revenue source grew 107% overall, which was absolutely incredible from their US commercial customers. And if we now take a look at their second business segment, which generates a majority of their revenue, that is their government business, which brought in over $610 million in 2020, and that represents 56% of their total top line, and the company grew it by 77% year over year. And I am personally a big fan of companies who have government contracts, because in history we have seen that once the government likes a company for a specific product or service, they tend to use them over the long term, generating consistent and growing revenue for that said business. And if Palantir can continue to grow their operations with the government and maintain it at around 50% of their overall revenue, I think this can be a great source over the long term going forward. And now we're going to move on to take a look at the company's full year 2020 results. And over the entire 12-month span, they generated $1.09 billion of total revenue, and that was the first time they crossed that $1 billion mark. And year over year, that represents a 47% growth rate from the 2019 number. And another strong result that Palantir shared is that the average revenue per customer grew 41%. And that just shows that their existing users are reordering, subscribing longer, and using Palantir services much more than when they were back in 2019. And this revenue generation from their current customers just shows that the services provided by Palantir are at high quality, because these customers would not be spending more and buying back in if they did not like the services that this big data company was providing. And in the fourth quarter, the company also announced some major new business deals. They have 21 new contracts that are worth more than $5 million. And of those 21, 12 of them are worth more than $10 million, which is absolutely incredible. And going forward, the company also gave some future outlook for the next 5 years in the future. And we can see that by 2025, they're predicting revenue of $4 billion or higher. So right now, their total revenue for 2020 came in just shy of $1.1 billion. So by 2025, they're expecting to more than triple that to $4 billion or higher in total annual revenue. And I absolutely believe that they can hit this outlook going forward. And if we take a look, in 2021, they're predicting revenue growth above 30%. And in that first quarter, they're actually predicting 45% year over year growth with an operating margin of 23%. And this margin would actually be an increase of 6 points compared to the full year of 2020, which would be a very strong sign. And for the next few years in the future, we're actually predicting close to 50% annual growth over the next 5 years, according to Yahoo Finance analysts. But one thing that's interesting is that at this current point in time, they actually have the stock as a hold with a 3.4 rating. But clearly Ark Invest does not agree. They would not have purchased over $275 million of the stock just if they thought it was going to be a hold or an average performer. I'm sure the company's expecting a rebound from the current lows, and over the long term, this could be the leader in the big data space. So let me know down in the comments what you think of Palantir, if you own the company, if you're buying the dip, or if you think Ark has made a bad decision. I love having discussions with you guys, so please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.